Forensic psychiatry is the application of psychiatric expertise to legal problems in legal contexts. So when we talk about psychiatric expertise, there is a so-called art of medicine and there is a science of medicine. And in the clinical practice of psychiatry, one usually has to blend the art and the science together to be therapeutically effective for patients who one's trying to help. In forensic psychiatry, on the other hand, the court is not really interested in the art of psychiatry. They're interested in the science of psychiatry. Psychiatrists are often asked to come in at several different levels of testimony. One question that may be asked is whether or not at the time that someone was arrested and was told of his Miranda rights, was he capable at that time of understanding the warnings that he was given, or was he, because of mental illness or mental disorder of some other form at that particular time, unable to understand, so that he confessed when, in point of fact, he was incompetent to confess. Another question that might come up is whether or not someone who was being asked to stand trial was mentally able to stand trial, or whether they were suffering from such a disorder of their mind that they were not able either to understand the nature of the charges against them or to be able to intelligently cooperate with their attorney in their own defense. Or still later, a question might come up as to whether or not someone was competent to be incarcerated, or in the most extreme case, whether someone was competent to be executed. One of the major controversies in the system these days, system being the justice system, is whether or not it's appropriate to ask a psychiatrist to restore someone to be competent to be executed, with the understanding that, were that to happen, the psychiatrist would be directly contributing to the loss of life of the person. So usually these days, if you can get a psychiatrist to do that sort of work, the usual condition is that the death sentence will be abrogated and someone will be given life in prison, for example, as an alternative, because otherwise it would be considered at minimum ethically questionable, if not ethically forbidden, for a psychiatrist to restore someone to sufficient mental health for the purpose of having his life terminated. So these are some of the interesting ethical questions that come up in the field.
I am a member of the Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences section in the Academy. Some cases I do on my own, some are collaborative with other experts that are part of our group. My specialty is forensic neuropsychology. I do a lot of criminal work. My research area has been brain damage, mental disorder, and violent criminal behavior. So that's my central interest, although my practice is broad. I do civil litigation, I do quite a bit of criminal litigation, and a fair amount of capital litigation. There's a million things that are interesting about what I do. The thing that is probably the most rewarding is that it's never the same case twice. Every case is something unique. It's a new puzzle to solve, to try and find the right answer, to find, at least in my opinion, what's closest to the truth as I can find. And I'm famous for letting the chips fall where they may. So I may be the prosecution's expert, but end up getting the guy off death row because of my opinion. And that's something I respect about the attorneys that I get to work with, that they're happy to live with the opinion that I give them, whether it helps or hurts. I like to say what I find, warts and all, because no case is all one way or all another. There's always facts that help one side or the other, and I think the more you can be objective and honest about what you find, the more credibility you have as an expert, and the more helpful your opinion is to the trier of fact.